The Assembly is now in session. Assembly Member Holden notices the absence of a quorum. The sergeants at arms will prepare the chamber and bring in the absent members. The clerk will call the roll.
Ashajian, Alejo, Allen, Baker, Bigelow, Bloom, Bonilla, Bonta, Bro, Brown, Burke, Calderon, Campos, Chang, Chow, Chavez, David Chu, Kansan Chu, Cooley, Cooper, DeBobne, Daly, Daly, Dodd, Eggman, Frazier, Gaines, Gallagher, Cristina Garcia, Eduardo Garcia, Gatto, Gibson, Gomez, Gonzalez, Gordon, Gray, Grove, Hadley, Harper, Hernandez, Holden, Irwin, Jones, Jones Sawyer, Kim, Lackey, Levine, Linder, Lopez, Lowe, Mainshine, Mathis, Mays, McCarty, Medina, Melendez, Mullen, Nazarian, Obernolte, O'Donnell, Olson, Patterson, Perea, Quirk, Rendon, Ridley Thomas, Rodriguez, Salas, Santiago, Steinorth, Stone, Thurman, Ting, Wagner, Waldron, Weber, Wilk, Williams, Wood. Madam Speaker.
I'd like to ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand for the prayer. Thank you. Today's prayer will be offered by our Assembly Chaplain, Father Constantine Papadimos. Father Papadimos.
Thank you. Good morning. Let us pray. Lord, your plan for our life didn't go away just because we had some disappointments or setbacks or because someone treated us unfairly. You have not written us off just because we may have made some poor decisions. Your plan for our good remains. You still have a bright future in store for us. Lord, help us to get our vision in line with your will so that the rest of our life will be the best of our life. Help us to shake off the past, to forgive those who have hurt us, and to keep our eyes on you. Amen.
I'd like to ask our guests and visitors to please remain standing for the flag salute. Please join Assemblymember Hadley as he leads us in the pledge. Mr. Hadley.
Members and guests, please join me as we salute our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Wednesday, July 1st, 2015. The Assembly met at 7 a.m. Honorable Scott Wilk, Assembly Member, 30th District Presiding.
Mr. Holden and Mr. Holden moves and Ms. Waldron seconds that the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentations of petitions, there are none. Introduction and references of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Messages from the governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Moving now to motions and resolutions for absences. For personal business, Assemblymember Grove. At this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Holden for your motions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous support and consent to suspend Assembly Rule 118 and allow Assembly members Baker, Kansan Chu, Cooper, Eggman, Frazier, and Williams to have guests and photographers on the floor today. Ms. Baker and Mr. Cooper will have guests seated at their desk for the introduction.
Without objection, that request is granted.
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 and allow Assembly members Baker, Bloom, Bonilla, Chu, and Cooley to speak on adjourned in memory today.
Without objection, that request is granted.
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 56 and allow the Local Government Committee to notice the following bills for a hearing on Wednesday, July 15, 2015 at 1:30 p.m. pending re-referral from committee. The bills are Senate Bill 330, Mendoza, pending re-referral from the Elections and Redistricting Committee. Senate Bill 399, Hall, pending re-referral from the Natural Resources Committee.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
Pursuant to Assembly Rule 96, I request unanimous consent to re-refer the following bills to committee. Senate Bill 552, Wolk, from the Environmental Safety and Toxic Materials Committee to the Rules Committee. Senate Bill 613, Allen, from the Assembly Appropriations Committee to the Assembly Aging and Long-Term Care Committee. Senate Bill 697, Hertzberg, from the Judiciary Committee to the Appropriations Committee.
Without objection, that request is granted.
I request unanimous consent to withdraw Assembly Bill 1204, Chow, from the Engrossing and Enrollment and return the bill to the Senate for further action.
The clerk will so note.
At the request of the author, please remove file item 96, Senate Bill 292, PAN, to the inactive file.
The clerk will note. Thank you, Mr. Holden.
Speaker.
Colleagues, if I could ask if you could please keep your conversations to a minimum. We're going to go at this time to our guest introductions. I will move with the first guest introduction on behalf of Assemblymember Cooley. We have in the chamber today members of the Lutheran Episcopal Volunteers who serve in several locations throughout the state and are in Sacramento to visit the Capitol. I want to take a moment and welcome our Lutheran Episcopal Volunteers. And with that, I'd like to go to Assemblymember Baker for her guests. Assemblymember Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I'm pleased to get to introduce to you today my son and my daughter, Kate and Alex, who've been with me this week, taking a quiet break in between the adventures of summer camps and other good things going on this summer. Their 12th birthday is tomorrow. So it was 12 years ago today that I was on bed rest with twins, wondering what life would be like with these two guys, and it's wonderful. So I'm pleased to introduce them to you today. Thank you.
I'd like to now recognize Assemblymember Cooper for your guests.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleagues, please join me in welcoming my daughter, Alexis Cooper, who is visiting from Arizona State, where she is senior, nursing major, and she also plays for the Arizona State softball team. She's a pitcher. So welcome, Alexis.
Mr. Cooper, I'd like to recognize you for your second guest introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Today, I'm happy to recognize from Elk Grove in my district the Sheldon High School varsity softball team who are observing today's session from the gallery. I am proud to recognize the team for their recent San Joaquin Section Division I Section Championship. As a father of a 2011 and 2012 Sheldon High School softball champion, I'd like to recognize my dear friend, Coach Mary Jo Truesdale, and her staff who are on the floor today for her longtime dedication to positive outcomes for young women, for being named Sacramento Bee's 2015 Coach of the Year. Under Coach Truesdale's leadership, this is Sheldon High School's 6th championship since 2002. And it's amazing. This school, since it's been open, if you've ever played for her softball, before you left, you've won a section championship. Members, please help me congratulating Coach Mary Jo Truesdale and the Sheldon High School varsity softball team on their success.
Colleagues, we're going to pause for a moment. I'd like to ask all of you if you could please take your seats so that we could continue with our guest introductions. Thank you. With that, I'd like to recognize our next colleague for a guest introduction, Mr. Alejo.
Is my mic on? I do have a mic. Mr. Speaker and members, I'd like to welcome some special guests sitting in the gallery. These are some of the amazing students participating in my 5th annual Young Assembly Members program, which is open to high school and college students in the 30th District. And they're here to learn about the legislative process and develop leadership skills. In addition, they will gain volunteer experience and will be able to educate community members on a range of current and important issues. I'm also pleased to share that some of our coordinators of this year's program are alumni who have come back for the summer break to be leaders in the program. But it is also my hope that one day these young people will not only go to college and graduate school, but that they will come back to their communities and run for office for school board, city council, supervisor, and yes, hopefully one day they will become members of the State Assembly and Senate. Can you please join me in giving these amazing students, my young assembly members from all over the 30th District, a big assembly welcome, everybody, up here.
This time we're going to go to Ms. Eggman for her guest introduction.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and members. Today I am with my colleague from Oak Grove. We welcome Dan Piniella, Chad Joseph, Heather Piniella of Oak Farm Vineyards in Lodi, as well as Bob, Dorothy, and Nicole Piniella. Located in northern San Joaquin County, Lodi is a winemaking region of California that is both old and new. The region is split between the 9th, 12th, and 13th Assembly District. While wine grapes have been grown and cultivated for more than a century, and you'll be very familiar with the variety for which it is most famous, Zinfandel, but it's only in the past decade or so that Lodi has been recognized not just for sending our grapes all over the rest of California so people can make wine, but the quality of its own grapes and wines made from them. Oak Farm Vineyards with us today, members, is a perfect example. The property that makes up the vineyard has been farmed since the 1860s, but just last month, Oak Farm Vineyards 2014 Albarino earned double gold, best in show, and best in region white at the California State Commercial Fair Wine Competition. Please join me in welcoming to the assembly floor in recognition of their great accomplishment, Oak Farm Vineyards.
This time we're going to go to business on the daily file. Second reading, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1542, Senate Bill 303, 382, 186, 175, 386, 424, 573 with amendments, 445 with amendments, 708 with amendments, 172 with amendments, 416 with amendments, 501 with amendments, 358 with amendments, 474, 230, 348, 365, 481, 505, 623, 631, 17, 35, 65, 110, 165, 177, 184, 200, 216, 232, 241, 284, 285, 288, 299, 337, 352, 354, 355, 410, 418, 456, 497, 502, 516, 525, 531, 556, 561, 580, 590, 598, 601, 620, 652, 719, 750, 334 with amendments, and 18 with amendments.
All bills will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Let's now go to concurrence in Senate amendments. File item 62, AB 444. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 444 by Assemblymember Gibson and others, an act relating to health facilities.
Assemblymember Gibson.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and members. Assembly Bill 444 is here on concurrence from the Senate. The Senate amendments added an extension to the deadline for stabilization for internal, external feeding tubes. This bill has received bipartisan support in both houses. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Aye 63, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. We'll pass and retain file item 63. Going to file item 64, AB 293. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 293 by Assemblymember Levine and others, an act relating to prisons, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. Levine, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 293 is back on concurrence. Senate amendments include an implementation date. This bill has enjoyed bipartisan support, and I hope you like my tie. And I respectfully vote that you vote. Request that you vote aye.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 68, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in, as well as approval of the tie. And on the urgency. Moving to file item 65, AB 380. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 380 by Assemblymember Waldron, an act relating to marriage.
Ms. Waldron, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 380 has unanimously passed the Assembly and Senate floor and is now back on concurrence. For technical and clarifying amendments, I urge an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Aye 71, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 66, AB 451. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 451 by Assemblymember Bonilla, an act relating to vehicles.
Ms. Bonilla, you may open.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and members. I present you AB 451 for concurrence in Senate amendments. The Senate amendments add additional consumer protections by requiring parking owners or managers who take advantage of the bill's provision to post signage at parking lot entrances notifying drivers that parking violators will be subject to an invoice. The bill has no opposition. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 71, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 67, AB 596. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 596 by Assemblymember Daley, an act relating to common interest developments.
Mr. Daley, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This bill simply requires that homeowners associations notify homeowners if their common interest development is an FHA or VA approved project. The bill was amended in the Senate to require that information is to be provided on a separate document so that it can be easily distinguishable from the HOA's annual budget report. I respectfully request an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 72, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 68, AB 929. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 929 by Assemblymember Chow, an act relating to privacy.
Assemblymember Chow, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 929 would authorize state and local law enforcement officers to use pen, register, and trap and trace devices by authorizing a judge to issue a court order if relevant to an ongoing criminal investigation and there is probable cause that will lead to obtaining evidence. The Senate amendments are technical and non-substantive, and I respectfully ask for your vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 73, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 69, AB 950. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 950 by Assemblymember Melendez and others, an act relating to firearms.
Assemblymember Melendez, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate amendments to AB 950 are conforming and technical in nature, and I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 73, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 70, AB 1166. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1166 by Assemblymember Bloom, an act relating to pupils.
Mr. Bloom, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 1166 is back on concurrence. The bill clarifies certain aspects of a bill I carried last session, AB 1806, which gave students identified as homeless education-related rights similar to those of their foster youth peers. AB 1166 ensures that homeless students who obtain housing and students who were homeless but not properly identified as so can still receive the assistance provided by AB 1806. Minor technical amendments were taken in the Senate. This measure has enjoyed strong bipartisan support, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 72, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 71, AB 1168. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1168 by Assemblymember Salas, an act relating to peace officers.
Assemblymember Salas, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 1168 allows counties to retain qualified peace officers. Senate amendments were technical clarifying. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 74, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 72, AB 1291. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1291 by Assemblymember Williams, an act relating to retirement.
Assemblymember Williams, you may open.
Members, 1291 is a district bill which will make the Ventura County retirement system an independent public employer district within the VC Employers Retirement Association. Ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 75, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. And going to file item 73, ACR 14, the clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 14 by Assemblymember Irwin, relative to Deputy Sheriff Yevon Eugene Kostyushenko Memorial Highway.
Assemblymember Irwin, you may open.
ACR 14 is back on concurrence. This resolution designates a specified portion of State Highway 101 in the County of Ventura as Deputy Sheriff Eugene Kostyushenko Memorial Highway. ACR 14 serves as a fitting tribute to an extraordinary deputy. I ask for your aye vote on technical amendments.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, this ACR is fiscal, so we need a roll call vote. The clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 72, noes 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in.